Maybe you can, I know you've got this amazing process and it's got these, different components to it. And I was hoping that maybe you could share a little bit about that framework, because I think just the way that you've kind of laid that out can be very helpful for, HVAC or plumbing company business owner to kind of go, hey, what should I be targeting, or where maybe potentially do I have some weak points or some sticking points? And so maybe if you can just kind of give a little bit of an overview, obviously not going too much into the weeds, and definitely not asking you to sell your secret sauce or share your secret sauce. I know you got an awesome 90-day boot camp and all this kind of stuff that really helps, but maybe just kind of talking to those components in a way that might help shed some light on maybe where some
Sure.
kind of.
I'll lay the groundwork with a quick story.
Mhm.
When I sold my business in the year 2000, and I went to work for Lennox Industries, and Lennox moved me around over the years. I was with them for about 13 years, and the first place they moved me was to the eastern part of North Carolina, and I was out there giving a class, not presenting it, but I was actually a territory manager during that time, and I called all of the Lennox dealers in the area to come in for these financial trainings. And there was a gentleman, he's retired now. His name was Wayne Atkins, and he's done some of the best work out there. I don't know if he's out there on YouTube or anything, but he's retired now. I know that. And long story short, we brought all of our dealers in, and he taught them how to understand their numbers, their finances, and then how to take those numbers and what their actual costs are and use formulas and whatnot in order to present accurate pricing for their customers, right? What should they be charging for service? What should they be charging for replacement on installation? And there was a guy there by the name of Conrad. I'm not going to say his last name because he may still be in business out there. It's been a long time ago, but Conrad was just the nicest guy. And Conrad says to me, he says, Pete, this class was fantastic. I've got to raise my prices. I didn't know, but I've been underselling for a long time. I'm raising my prices. And, that's what you want to hear when you're trying to help other businesses and understand, what's holding them back and things like this. So understanding your numbers, number one, is fundamental to your business success. But then about a week later, he calls back and he says, Pete, I've got to drop my prices. And I said, Conrad, what's wrong? He says, I raised my prices and nobody will pay what I'm trying to sell for. And what he may not have realized, but fundamentally, he was selling and working and earning customers' business based on his price. In other words, he had a premium product and he was able to install it less than the other companies, or certainly at the bottom end. And what he didn't have was the ability to build the value. So it's one thing to understand your numbers, but it's another thing in order to be able to market in a way, and marketing, by the way, is greater than advertising. Advertising is a subset. Marketing is everything we do in this brand in order to create that impression, that opinion from, and it's all subject to individuals' perception, but his ability to basically create value in the customer's eyes to do business with him. And so that was part of my struggle as well. And I learned a lot back during my 10 years, but that's where the name HVAC Greatness come from. It's not that I'm great. What I'm trying to share with so many of my customers that are really doing good work. They're taking the time. They're doing a proper assessment of the structure. They're interviewing the customer and they're finding out what their individual needs are. They're designing systems that are accurate, or I should say appropriate for the application as well as the people who live there and what their situations are. And so they do this wonderful job, but then the customers don't perceive that because they have a consumer mindset that has been trained by product-based marketing. And here we are in a service. And so it's not quite the same, and not everybody understands that. And so the challenge is, how do I communicate that I am better? And so we speak to the logical mind. And unfortunately, human beings make business purchases, or they make purchases, generally speaking, and major decisions based on emotion. Money is very emotional. And until we learn how to get into some of the emotions, that becomes the issue. So the whole idea was, how do we, first of all, we have to know our prices, but how do we charge more and justify all the extra things that we do? Maybe we can pay our employees better. We can send them to training. We can choose better materials and supplies, take a little bit more time, do a little bit better job, and actually charge for that and get compensated appropriately. But as long as the consumer perceives you as the same as everybody else, in other words, your competition is quoting the exact same model as you, and you want $1,000 more, I'm sorry, I can't justify that. I'm going to have to go with the lesser price. Right? So this comes from that mindset of get 3 bids and go with the cheapest bid. But the consumer's not a contractor. They don't have an engineer on staff that's done the design work or did product selection and things like this. They're allowing that little contractor to be the engineer, be the architect, but, do all the design work and do the duct assessment. Is it getting the proper airflow, or is the air distribution proper? Is this going to create issues for the new system? And all these different things. And what do these contractors generally do? They pull out a 3-ton and they throw a 3-ton right back in, regardless of the fact that engineering's changed, refrigerants have changed, it changes static pressure issue, all these technical challenges that could come as a consequence. They're basically supporting the ignorance in general of the consumer who just don't know any better. And so what we have to do is not only create, this type of an elevation in terms of the perception, but it has to be throughout the process, and we have to be able to do it in a way that it triggers that emotion that people, you ever buy a new car, or a lot of guys out there, new truck. For me, it was a new truck. I'll never forget 1996, a long time ago, show my age, brand new Z71 Silverado, right off the showroom floor, extended cab, 4-wheel drive. You could just push the little button and it would go into 4-wheel drive instead of having to. So it was beautiful. I justified that with all kind of logical reasons. What's the business write-off, right? And I can use it. I've got a trailer hitch on the back. I can pull the trailer for the company. I had all types of just logical justifications, but that was an emotional buy. And I guarantee we all do that. Many times it's on things that we enjoy, right? Like vacations or trucks and vehicles. Yeah. But it's also just as important on things that maybe we don't enjoy, like replacing our roof or our heating and air conditioning or plumbing or rewiring the house. But it's still emotional nonetheless. And so this process is based on building something that means something to somebody. And I think it was in politics that they said that if you try to get everybody to like you, nobody will. I think if in business, if we try to appeal to everybody, we really won't have a strong appeal to anybody. Yeah, I think we need to come into our own and decide who we're going to be, and what part of the market are we going to own, and who is that going to appeal to, right? There's different types of customers out there, and we don't want them all. So what do those premium customers look like? What are they looking for? What do they respond to? What are their emotional triggers?